Lily Carter had seen many bad days in her 34 years of life. She had survived wars. She had survived the explosion of her first ship. She had survived being lost in deep space for 3 weeks with nothing but emergency rations and a broken radio. But standing on the cold metal platform of a Valorian slave market, her wrists locked in glowing energy cuffs, she knew this might be her worst day yet. The auction hall was massive. Giant pillars of black stone rose up toward a ceiling so high it disappeared into shadow. Hundreds of Valorians filled the seats below the platform, their silver skin catching the light, their golden eyes watching the humans on display with a mix of curiosity and hunger. Lily stood in a line with 23 other humans. Some were crying. Some were shaking. A young man near the end had been sick twice already. They were all that remained of the transport ship Lily had tried to save 3 days ago. She had been a commander in the Galactic Defense Corps for 12 years. When her sensors picked up a distress signal from a civilian transport carrying human refugees, she had not hesitated. She had turned her patrol ship toward the signal, pushed the engines past their limit, and arrived just in time to see Valorian raiders tearing the transport apart. She had fought. She had taken down 2 of their ships before they overwhelmed her. And now here she was, about to be sold like livestock. The Valorians were tall. The shortest of them stood at least 6.5 feet, and many were closer to 7. Their skin was the color of polished silver, smooth and almost metallic in appearance. Their eyes glowed soft gold, and their hair ranged from white to pale blue to deep purple. They were beautiful in the way that a blade was beautiful. Sharp, dangerous, cold. They had ruled this part of the galaxy for 50,000 years. Their empire stretched across 17 solar systems. They had laws and traditions older than human civilization itself, and at the top of everything sat the Alpha King. Lily had heard stories about their king. Everyone had. They said he had killed his own brother to take the throne. They said he had never taken a queen because no female in the galaxy was good enough for him. They said he was over 200 years old and had won more battles than any warrior in Valorian history. She did not care about their king. She cared about finding a way out of these cuffs and getting her people to safety. The auctioneer, a thin Valorian with pale blue hair and a voice like smooth oil, began the bidding. The first human sold was a young woman with red hair. She went to a Valorian noble for a price that made Lily feel sick. The second was an older man, an engineer. He sold for less. One by one, the humans were led away to their new owners. Lily watched each sale with burning eyes, memorizing faces, making silent promises. She would find them. She would free them. She would make the Valorians pay for this. Her term was coming. She could feel it. And then the doors exploded open. Not literally. They did not break or shatter, but they flew open with such force that the sound echoed through the entire hall like thunder. Every Valorian in the room went silent. Then, as one, they dropped to their knees. Every single one of them. The nobles, the merchants, the guards. Even the auctioneer fell to his knees so fast he nearly tripped over his own robes. Lily turned to see what could cause such a reaction. He walked through the doors like he owned not just the room but the entire universe. He was taller than any Valorian she had seen, at least 7 feet, with shoulders so broad they seemed to block out the light behind him. His armor was black, so black it seemed to swallow the light around it, and his silver skin had a strange flush to it, almost like a fever. But it was his eyes that caught her attention. They burned. Not soft gold like the others, but bright, fierce, almost painful to look at. And they were scanning the room with something that looked almost like desperation. High King Nathan Veeler. It had to be him. No one else could command such instant obedience. His guards followed behind him, 6 massive warriors in matching black armor. They looked worried. They kept trying to speak to him, to touch his arm, to slow him down. He ignored them completely. He was moving through the hall now, his burning eyes sweeping across the kneeling Valorians, dismissing them without a glance. Then his gaze moved to the platform, to the humans. To her, Lily felt it like a physical impact. His eyes locked onto hers, and something happened. Something she could not explain. It was like lightning running through her blood. Like a key turning in a lock she had not known existed. He stumbled. The High King of the Valorian Empire actually stumbled, like a man who had been struck. His guards rushed forward, but he pushed them away with a snarl. His eyes never left Lily. Then he started walking toward her. The crowd gasped. Whispers erupted. Someone shouted something in Valorian that Lily did not understand, but the tone was clearly alarm. Nathan Wheeler did not stop. He walked up the steps to the platform, past the terrified auctioneer, past the line of trembling humans. He stopped directly in front of Lily. She should have been afraid. He was a king, a conqueror, a killer. He could end her life with a single word. But looking up into his burning golden eyes, she did not feel fear. She felt something else. Something strange and new and completely impossible. He was breathing hard. His silver skin was flushed even darker now, almost glowing. His hands were shaking. Then, to the shock of every being in the hall, High King Nathan Vila dropped to his knees. Not a small bow. Not a slight bend. He dropped down fully, both knees hitting the platform with a sound that echoed through the silent room. His head bowed. His hands reached out, not to grab her, but to hover just above her bound wrists, trembling. Finally, he said. His voice was rough, broken, like a man who had been wandering in the desert and had finally found water. I have searched for you across 1,000 stars, across 200 years. I had given up hope. Lily stared down at him. The most powerful being in 17 solar systems was kneeling at her feet, and she had no idea what was happening. I declare you, he continued, his voice growing stronger, my bondmate, my eternal partner, my forever. The silence in the hall was absolute. Lily could hear her own heartbeat pounding in her ears. She looked at his flushed skin, his unfocused eyes, his trembling hands. You are definitely drunk, she said. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, incredibly, he laughed. It was a raw sound, half joy and half pain, and it did something strange to Lily's chest. No, he said, looking up at her with those burning eyes. I am finally awake. I am finally complete. He reached up slowly, giving her time to pull away, and touched her face with fingers that felt like warm silk. I am finally home. Around them, the hall erupted into chaos. The next several hours were the strangest of Lily's life. One moment she was standing on the auction platform with energy cuffs on her wrists. The next, she was being swept away by a wave of Valorian servants. They removed her cuffs. They wrapped her in robes made of some fabric softer than anything she had ever touched. They led her through hallways of black marble and silver light, past statues of ancient kings and windows that looked out onto a city of impossible towers. No one would answer her questions. She asked where she was being taken. The servants bowed and said the king would explain. She asked what was happening. They bowed and said she was blessed beyond measure. She asked about her crew, the other humans from the auction. They bowed and said arrangements were being made. She wanted to fight. She wanted to run. But she was surrounded by guards, and she was smart enough to know that fighting now would only get her killed. So she let them lead her to a massive chamber at the top of what seemed to be the royal palace. The room was bigger than her entire ship. The ceiling was made of glass, showing a night sky filled with unfamiliar stars. The furniture was all black wood and silver metal, elegant and cold. And there she waited. She paced the room. She examined the windows, but they did not open. She checked the walls for hidden doors or weak points. She found nothing. This was a cage, a beautiful cage, but a cage nonetheless. Hours passed. Servants brought food, strange fruits and meats she did not recognize. She ate carefully, testing each bite, not trusting that it was not poisoned. It tasted good. Too good. Finally, as the stars outside began to fade into the purple light of dawn, the door opened. Nathan Veeler entered alone. He looked different now. The strange flush was gone from his skin. His eyes still glowed gold, but the burning intensity had faded to something calmer. He had changed out of his black armor into simple, dark clothes that made him look almost normal. Almost. He was still 7 feet tall. Still built like a warrior. Still the most dangerous being Lily had ever encountered. "You must have questions," he said. "Just a few." Lily kept her voice steady, refusing to show any weakness. "Let us start with the obvious one. What exactly happened back there?" Nathan moved to stand by the window, his massive form silhouetted against the growing light of dawn. "My people have a genetic trait," he said slowly, as if choosing each word with care. "Those of us who carry the alpha bloodline have markers in our DNA that respond to only one specific genetic signature in the entire universe. When we encounter that signature, our biology reacts strongly. You are saying I am your genetic match. I am saying you are my other half." He turned to face her, and there was something raw in his expression. Something that seemed wrong on such a powerful face. "I have searched for 200 years. I visited thousands of worlds. I scanned millions of beings. I had begun to believe my match did not exist. That I was cursed to rule alone until death." He paused. "And then you were there, on that platform. And every cell in my body knew." Lily processed this information the same way she processed tactical data before a battle. Calmly, logically. "And the kneeling?" she asked. "The declaration?" A small smile touched his lips. "Among my people, when an alpha finds their bondmate, they must present themselves as a supplicant. It does not matter if they are king or slave. Before their true match, they are nothing. It is our oldest tradition. I thought you were drunk." "So you mentioned." The smile grew slightly. "In a way, I was. The bond rush affects the mind. It impairs judgment, heightens emotion, makes everything feel like too much." Lily stood from her seat and crossed her arms. "Here is the problem with your explanation. I am human. We do not have alpha bloodlines or genetic bond markers or any of that. Whatever your biology is telling you, it is wrong." Nathan's golden eyes flickered with something she could not read. "That is what I thought as well," he said quietly. "Which is why I had my physicians examine you while you were being prepared." Her stomach dropped. And you are correct. You have no Valorian genetics." He paused, and something shifted in his expression. "But you do have something else. Something my scientists have never seen before." He walked to a nearby table and pressed a button. A holographic image appeared in the air between them. Lily recognized it as a genetic readout, the kind she had seen in medical facilities. It showed human DNA, the familiar double helix, but several sections were highlighted in brilliant gold. "Your species calls it junk DNA," Nathan continued. "Sections of your genetic code that appear to serve no function. Random noise left over from evolution. But according to my researchers, these sections are not junk at all. They are sleeping, dormant, waiting for something to wake them up." His golden eyes met hers. "Lily, your scientists have theorized for centuries that humanity might have been engineered by an older race. My scientists now believe they have proof. Someone, millions of years ago, placed these markers in your species. And those markers are compatible with Valorian alpha genetics. Lily felt something shift inside her. Not physically, but in the way that reality shifts when everything you thought you knew turns out to be incomplete. You are saying humans and Valorians share some kind of common origin. I'm saying that you were made for me. Nathan's voice was soft but certain. And I was made for you. Across millions of years and 1,000 stars, we were designed to find each other. The silence between them stretched like a wire pulled too tight. That is insane, Lily finally said. Yes, Nathan agreed. And yet here we are. He stepped closer to her, and Lily had to fight the urge to step back. Not from fear, from something else. Something that felt like a magnetic pull, drawing her toward him against her will. I know this is overwhelming, he said. I know you did not choose this. Neither did I, but the bond is real. Lily, I can feel it in my blood. I can feel you in my blood. And whether you accept it or not, you are now the most important person in the Valorian Empire. Because of genetics. Because of fate. He reached out slowly, the same way he had in the auction hall, giving her time to pull away. When she did not, he touched her hand. His fingers were warm against her skin. I have waited 200 years for you. I can wait a little longer for you to understand what that means. Lily looked down at their joined hands. Silver against brown. Ancient against young. King against prisoner. What about my crew? She asked. The other humans from the auction. I have already ordered their release. They will be given quarters in the palace and treated as honored guests. And the refugees? The ones from the transport ship? Nathan nodded. Them as well. Any human you claim as under your protection will be under mine. It was such a simple statement, but Lily understood its weight. The High King of the Valorian Empire had just declared that she had power. Real power. The power to protect her people. She looked up at him. This strange alien king who had dropped to his knees before her in front of his entire court. I do not trust you, she said. No, I do not love you. I know that. 2. His golden eyes were steady on hers. But you will. In time. The bond works both ways, Lily. Right now, you feel only a fraction of what I feel. But as the connection grows, as your dormant genetics begin to wake, you will understand. And if I do not want that, if I want to leave, something flickered in his eyes. Pain, quickly hidden. Then I will let you go, he said quietly. The bond cannot be forced. If you truly wish to leave, I will give you a ship and supplies and let you return to your people. He paused. But I'm asking you to stay. At least long enough to understand what is happening. What this could mean. Not just for us, but for humans and Valorians everywhere. Lily studied his face, looking for the lie, the trap, the hidden danger. She found nothing but honesty. 1 week, she said. I will stay 1 week. Then I decide. Nathan's smile was like the sun breaking through clouds. 1 week, he agreed. That is all I ask. He lifted her hand to his lips and pressed a soft kiss to her knuckles. The touch sent electricity through her body, making her breath catch. Then he turned and walked to the door. Welcome to the Valorian Empire, Lily Carter, he said without looking back. I promise you, nothing will ever be the same. He was right about that. Nothing was ever the same again. The Valorian court did not welcome Lily with open arms. Word of the king's declaration spread across the empire within hours. A human bondmate. A creature from a species most Valorians considered barely intelligent. The scandal was unlike anything in their long history. 3 days after her arrival at the palace, Lily was summoned to the Hall of Ancestors. It was the largest room she had ever seen. a vast space of black marble columns and silver light, with walls covered in portraits of ancient Valorian kings. Hundreds of nobles filled the gallery, their silver faces cold with contempt. Nathan walked beside her, his hand resting lightly on her lower back. He had dressed her in ceremonial robes of black and gold, the colors of the royal house. She felt like a doll being displayed for judgment. At the far end of the hall, a woman waited on a raised platform. She was old, even by Valorian standards, her silver skin paper-thin, her white hair falling to her waist like frozen water. Her golden eyes held nothing but hatred. "Lady Sarah Malkin," Nathan said quietly, "matriarch of the second most powerful house in the Empire. She has opposed me since the day I took the throne. She looks like she wants to kill me. She probably does." They stopped before the platform, and Sarah Malkin rose to her feet. Despite her age, she moved with the grace of a predator. "High King," she said, her voice carrying across the silent hall. "You have summoned us to witness your bond declaration. But before we proceed, the court demands answers." "The court may ask," Nathan replied, his tone cold. "How do you explain this?" Sarah gestured toward Lily with barely concealed disgust. "She is human, a primitive species from a primitive world. They have been spacefaring for less than 300 years. They are weak, short-lived, insignificant. How can such a creature be the bondmate of an Alpha King?" Murmurs of agreement rippled through the crowd. Lily felt their eyes on her, judging, dismissing. "The bond cannot be faked," Nathan said. "Every physician in my service has confirmed the connection. Lily Carter is my true match. Then the bond itself is a corruption." Sarah's voice rose with righteous fury. "An error. A genetic mistake that must be corrected before it destroys everything our ancestors built." "By corrected," Lily spoke up, her voice clear and steady, "I assume you mean killed." The hall went silent. Valorians turned to stare at her. Humans did not speak in the High Court. Humans did not look nobles in the eye. Humans certainly did not address the Lady Malkin with such casual boldness. "You presume much," Sarah hissed. "I presume nothing." Lily stepped forward, out of Nathan's protective shadow. Her heart was pounding, but she kept her face calm. "I was a commander in the Galactic Defense Corps. I have negotiated with the Krithan Collective. I have fought the Ashanti Raiders. I held the line at Proxima Station when everyone else had fled. I am not some decoration your king picked up on a whim. You are human." Sarah spoke the word like it was poison. "Your species is barely out of the caves. You lack the strength, the longevity, the genetic purity required of a Valorian queen. Your species has been spacefaring for 50,000 years, Lily replied. Mine has been out here for less than 300. And yet somehow, we have already spread to 12 systems. We have built technologies that took you thousands of years to develop. We have produced individuals capable of bonding with your precious alpha bloodlines." She let that sink in, watching the effect ripple through the crowd. "Maybe," she continued, "instead of asking what is wrong with humans, you should be asking what is right with us." The silence that followed was different. There was still hostility, still contempt, but underneath it, something else. Something that looked almost like uncertainty. "Pretty words," Sarah said, but her voice had lost some of its confidence. "The words prove nothing. If you truly believe you are worthy of the Alpha King, you will submit to the ancient tests." Nathan stepped forward, his hand finding Lily's. "The tests are not required. I have already declared her. The declaration is not complete until the court accepts it." Sarah smiled, showing teeth that were just slightly too sharp. "Ancient law, my king. Even you cannot change that." "What tests?" Lily asked. Sarah's smile widened. "The bondmate of an alpha must prove their worth in 3 ways: wisdom, courage, and endurance." She turned to address the crowd. I invoke the ancient right of challenge. Let the human prove herself, or be rejected as unworthy. The crowd erupted in noise. Some nobles shouted support for Sierra. Others looked uncertain. Nathan's hand tightened on Lily's until it almost hurt. "You do not have to do this," he said quietly. "I can refuse the challenge." "I can. No." Lily met his eyes. "If I hide behind you, they will never accept me. Every day of our lives, they will be waiting for me to fail. This ends now. The challenges are designed for Valorians. You could die. I have almost died many times. I am still here." She squeezed his hand and let go. "Tell me about the tests." The first test was wisdom. They took her to a chamber filled with Valorian scholars. For 6 hours, they questioned her about everything from military strategy to ancient philosophy. They asked her about human history, about alien cultures, about the nature of the bond and the structure of the universe. Lily answered what she could. When she did not know something, she said so honestly. When she disagreed with Valorian teachings, she explained why. She did not try to pretend she was something she was not. At the end of the 6 hours, the chief scholar, an ancient Valorian with eyes like faded gold, stood before the court. "The human has passed the test of wisdom," he announced. "Her knowledge is incomplete, as expected from her young species. But her reasoning is sound, her judgment is clear, and her mind is sharp. She is worthy." The crowd murmured in surprise. Sierra Malkin's face tightened. The second test was courage. They led her to an arena beneath the palace, a circular pit surrounded by seats filled with watching nobles. Nathan was not allowed to attend. This she had to face alone. A gate opened on the far side of the arena, and something emerged. It was a beast unlike anything Lily had seen. A creature of silver scales and burning red eyes, with claws like curved swords and teeth that dripped some kind of venom. "The arena beast," a voice announced from above. "She must survive for 10 minutes. No weapons, no assistance." Lily looked at the monster stalking toward her. It was at least twice her size, built for killing, bred for violence. She had no weapons, no armor, nothing but her training and her will to survive. The beast charged. Lily dove to the side, barely avoiding its claws. She rolled to her feet and ran, not away from the creature, but around it, keeping moving, forcing it to turn. She had learned long ago that you could not outfight everything, but you could outthink almost anything. The beast was fast, but it was also predictable. It attacked in straight lines, relying on its strength and size. Lily used the arena against it, leading it into pillars, making it crash into walls. She ducked and weaved, using her smaller size as an advantage. 9 minutes. The beast was getting frustrated, its attacks becoming wild and careless. 10 minutes. A horn sounded. The beast was pulled back through its gate, snarling and snapping. Lily stood in the center of the arena, breathing hard, covered in dust and sweat, but alive. "The human has passed the test of courage," the voice announced. This time, the crowd's murmur held something new. Respect. Nathan was waiting for her when she emerged from the arena. He grabbed her and held her close, his body shaking. "I thought I would lose you," he said against her hair. "Not that easy to kill," she replied. But she knew the hardest test was still to come. Sierra Malkin approached them, her ancient face twisted with something like fear. "One test remains," she said. "The test of endurance. And for this test, I invoke the oldest challenge of all." Nathan went still. "No," he said. "I forbid it. You cannot forbid it." Sierra's smile was back, sharp and cruel. "Ancient law. If she wishes to be queen, she must face the trial of fire." The crowd fell silent. Even the nobles who had supported Lily's challenges looked uncertain now. "What is the trial of fire?" Lily asked. Nathan turned to her, and for the first time since she had met him, he looked afraid. "It is a death sentence," he said, "and I will not let you face it." But Lily could see in Sarah's eyes that this was exactly what the old woman wanted. A way to kill her without breaking the law, and Lily had never backed down from a fight in her life. "Tell me," she said, "everything." The trial of fire was an ancient tradition, older than the empire itself. Nathan explained it to her that night in his private chambers, his voice heavy with grief. In the earliest days of Valorian civilization, before they had starships or technology, the Alpha bloodlines had developed a way to test the bond. A true match, they believed, would be protected by their Alpha's genetic resonance. The bond itself would shield them from harm. To prove this, the challenger would be placed in a sealed chamber. The temperature would rise steadily, climbing higher and higher until it reached levels that would kill any normal being. If the bond was true, the challenger would survive. If it was not, they would burn. The tradition was abandoned thousands of years ago, Nathan said. It was considered too barbaric, too dangerous. No one has invoked it in living memory, but Sarah found a way. Ancient law cannot be overwritten, only forgotten. His hands clenched into fists. She has been planning this, waiting for this. She knew I would find my match eventually, and she prepared this trap. Lily sat by the window, looking out at the alien stars. She had spent the last hour learning everything she could about the trial. The chamber, the temperatures, the survival rates. There were no survival rates. Every non-Valorian who had ever faced the trial of fire had died. "You could refuse," Nathan said. "Walk away. I would give you a ship, supplies, protection. You could return to human space and never look back. And leave you alone? Leave your throne vulnerable to Sarah and her allies?" Lily shook her head. "That is not who I am. You could die. I could have died 100 times before I met you." She turned to face him. "I did not survive 12 years of war to run from an old woman with a grudge." Nathan crossed the room to her, dropping to his knees as he had done in the auction hall. But this time, it was not ritual. This time, it was desperation. "Please," he said, the words seeming to cost him everything. "I have waited 200 years for you. I cannot lose you after only 3 days." Lily reached out and touched his face, feeling the smooth warmth of his silver skin. "The bond will protect me," she said. "You believe that, do you not?" "I want to believe it." But the trial was designed for Valorians, for beings with centuries of genetic adaptation. You are human. Your dormant DNA has only just begun to awaken. I do not know if it will be enough. Then we will find out together. The trial was set for noon the next day. The chamber was located deep beneath the palace, in a section so old that the walls were carved with symbols no living Valorian could read. It was a cylinder of black metal, covered in ancient runes, with a single small window at eye level. Lily stood before it, wearing simple white robes. The entire court had gathered to witness the trial. Nathan stood apart from the others, his face like carved stone. His hands clenched so tight his knuckles had gone pale. Sarah Malcolm presided over the ceremony, her satisfaction barely hidden. "The trial of fire will now begin," she announced. "The human Lily Carter will enter the chamber. The temperature will rise in stages. If she survives until the final stage is complete, she will have proven herself worthy. If she does not," the old woman smiled, "then the bond will be revealed as the error we always knew it was." Lily looked at Nathan one last time. His golden eyes burned into hers, filled with fear and love and something that looked like prayer. She turned and walked into the chamber, the door sealed behind her with a sound like a tomb closing. Through the small window, she could see the watching court, the smiling Sarah, the suffering Nathan. She placed her hand against the glass. The first stage began. The temperature rose slowly at first. Lily felt it like stepping into a warm bath, pleasant almost. But it kept climbing. 80 degrees, 90, 100. She began to sweat. Her white robes clung to her skin. The air grew thick and hard to breathe. 150 degrees. The heat was painful now, pressing against her from all sides. Her skin felt tight, dry, burning. She thought about her crew, about the humans she had promised to protect, about all the people who had told her throughout her life that she was not strong enough, not smart enough, not worthy enough. She had proven them all wrong, thought she would prove them wrong again. 200 degrees. The pain was intense. Every breath felt like inhaling fire. Her vision began to blur at the edges. Through the window, she could see Nathan pressing against the barrier, his mouth moving in words she could not hear. Behind him, Sarah watched with hungry eyes, waiting for her to fall. No, she would not give them the satisfaction. 250 degrees. 300. The robes on her body began to smoke, and then something happened. Deep inside her cells, in those sections of junk DNA that had lain dormant for millions of years, something stirred. She felt it like a spark catching, like a fire igniting in reverse. Not heat but light. Not pain but power. Golden light erupted from her skin, not Valorian silver. Something older. Something different. Something that pushed back against the burning air like a shield made of pure energy. The temperature kept climbing. 350. 400. 450. Lily stood in the heart of an inferno and felt nothing but warmth. The light grew stronger, brighter, until she was glowing like a star. Through the window, she could see the court staring in shock. She could see Sarah's face twist from triumph to horror. She could see Nathan's expression transform from despair to wonder. 500 degrees. 600. 700. The final stage. The chamber groaned around her. Metal warped and bent. The ancient runes on the walls began to glow, responding to the power radiating from her body. And then it was over. The doors opened. Cool air rushed in. Lily walked out of the chamber on steady legs, her white robe somehow unburned, her skin glowing with fading golden light. The court was silent. Sarah Malkin had gone pale as death. Her ancient face twisted with disbelief. Nathan Veal had dropped to his knees for the third time. Not in supplication. Not in desperation. In awe. "What are you?" someone whispered. Lily looked down at her hands. The golden light was fading now, sinking back into her cells, but she could still feel it there, waiting. A power that had slept for millions of years, finally awake. "I am human," she said. And apparently, that is more than anyone ever knew. The hall erupted into chaos. Nobles shouted questions. Scholars rushed forward to examine her. Guards struggled to maintain order. Through it all, Sarah Malkin stood frozen, her plans in ruins around her. "The human has passed the trial of fire," the official announcer declared, his voice shaking. "She is worthy to be queen." Nathan was at her side in an instant, his arms wrapping around her, his face buried in her hair. "How?" he asked. "How did you survive?" "You were right," she said softly. "The bond protected me. But more than that, it woke something up. Something that was always there, hiding in my blood." She pulled back to look at him, at this alien king who had claimed her as his own. "We need to study this," she said. "We need to understand what this means. Not just for me, but for all humans." "The scientists are already working on it," Nathan said. "The implications are extraordinary." Lily looked out at the stunned court, at the shocked nobles and terrified Sarah. "Extraordinary," she agreed. "And this is only the beginning." She was right that everything that came next would change the galaxy forever. The bond declaration ceremony was held 3 days after the trial of fire. In that time, everything had changed. Valorian scientists worked around the clock to understand what had happened in that chamber. They studied Lily's blood, her cells, her genetic code. They found answers that shook the foundations of everything their civilization believed. The dormant sequences in human DNA, when activated through exposure to Valorian alpha genetics, unlocked abilities that neither species possessed alone. Enhanced healing, extended lifespan, resistance to extreme environments. It was as if the two species had been designed as complementary halves of a greater whole. The builders, Nathan said as they prepared for the ceremony, whoever they were, they did not just create our races separately. They created us to find each other, to evolve together. Lily stood before a mirror in the royal chambers. She wore robes of black and gold, the colors of the Valorian crown, but cut in a style that honored her human heritage. Around her neck hung a pendant that Nathan had given her, a crystal that glowed with the same golden light that now lived in her blood. She barely recognized herself. "What does this mean for humans and Valorians?" she asked. "For the future?" Nathan appeared behind her in the mirror, his silver hands resting on her shoulders. He was dressed in his formal armor, black metal that seemed to absorb the light around it. Together, they looked like something out of a legend. Light and darkness, gold and silver, human and Valorian. "It means everything changes," he said. "The humans in my empire will be re-examined. Those dormant genes exist in all of you. If they can be activated the same way yours were, then humans could become something more. You could become what you were always meant to be." He turned her to face him, his golden eyes burning into hers. "Lily, your species has spent 300 years surviving at the edges of a galaxy that wanted to crush you. You have been dismissed as primitives, treated as lesser beings by every civilization you have encountered. But this changes everything. It changes biology," Lily corrected gently. "It does not change minds. Sira Malkin still hates me. Half your court still thinks I am an error in the cosmic order. They will learn." Nathan's voice held absolute certainty. "When they see what humans are capable of, when they understand that the youngest species in the galaxy might also be the key to our evolution, they will learn. Or they will be left behind." A servant entered to announce that it was time. The ceremony was held in the Palace of Eternal Stars, a structure built at the heart of a captured sun. The Valorians had tamed the dying star thousands of years ago, hollowing it out and turning it into the most sacred site in their empire. Now its ancient light filled the hall as thousands of Valorians watched their king prepare to bond with a human queen. Lily walked down the long aisle on Nathan's arm. On either side, noble houses stood in their formal robes, their expressions ranging from hostile to curious to something that might almost be hope. Among them, she spotted her own people, the humans she had brought under her protection, her crew from the auction, the refugees from the transport ship. They were dressed in simple clothes out of place among the silver splendor, but they stood tall. They watched her with pride. At the far end of the hall, Sira Malkin waited with the other senior nobles. The old woman's face was carved from stone, showing nothing of the defeat she had suffered. But her power was broken. After the trial of fire, no one would listen to her claims that humans were unworthy. The evidence of Lily's worth had been written in golden light, for all to see. The ceremony began with ancient words in the old Valorian tongue. Nathan spoke the traditional vows, his voice carrying across the hall like thunder. "I declare you mine from this moment until the last star burns cold. My strength is your strength. My kingdom is your kingdom. My forever is your forever." As he spoke, Lily felt something shift in her chest. The dormant sequences in her DNA pulsed with golden light. And across the hall, she saw similar lights begin to glow in the human servants. The human prisoners, the human refugees who have been brought to witness this moment. The activation was spreading. Nathan saw it too. His eyes widened, then softened with understanding. "It is the bond," he whispered. "Your awakening is calling to them, showing them what they could become." Lily watched as human after human began to glow with that ancient golden light. Some looked frightened. Others looked amazed. All of them were changing, their dormant genetics stirring to life, responding to the same cosmic signal that had transformed her. The Valorian audience fell silent, watching in shock as the humans among them began to shine. Lily turned to face the entire assembly, human and Valorian alike. This was not just a wedding anymore. This was something far more important. "I accept your declaration," she said to Nathan, her voice clear and strong. "And I make one of my own." She stepped forward, toward the crowd, toward her people. "Where I come from, we have a saying. Humanity endures. Through every war, every disaster, every civilization that tried to destroy us, we endured. Not because we were the strongest or the oldest or the most powerful, but because we never gave up. Because when we got knocked down, we got back up. Because we refused to accept that our story was over." The golden light was spreading now, human to human, like fire catching in dry wood. She could feel it in her blood, feel their awakening echoing through the bond that connected all of them. For 300 years, we have survived in a galaxy that called us primitive, that treated us as slaves and servants and novelties. We have been underestimated and dismissed and forgotten. She reached out and took Nathan's hand, silver fingers interlaced with golden ones. Two species that had been designed millions of years ago to find each other. "Today, we do not just endure," Lily declared. "Today, we rise." The hall erupted in light. Every human in the chamber was glowing now, their dormant genetics fully awake. The Valorians watched in stunned silence as the species they had dismissed as weak and insignificant transformed before their eyes. Sarah Malkin made a sound, something between a gasp and a cry. Her ancient face showed real fear for the first time. Nathan raised his free hand, and the hall fell silent. "Let it be known across the Empire," he announced. "Lily Carter is my bondmate, my queen, and my equal in all things. The humans are no longer a lesser species. They are our partners, our allies, our family." His golden eye swept across the assembly. "Anyone who threatens them threatens me." The message was clear. The old order was finished. Something new was beginning. Later, after the ceremony, Lily stood on a balcony overlooking the captured star. Its ancient light painted her face in shades of gold and white. Nathan stood beside her, his arm around her waist. "Are you afraid?" he asked. "Of what?" "Of everything that comes next. We have changed the galaxy today. There will be consequences, resistance, perhaps even war." Lily considered the question. She thought about the humans she had seen awakening in the hall. She thought about the message that would spread across the Empire, then beyond, to every corner of human space. She thought about what it would mean when humanity understood what they truly were. "No," she said finally. "I am not afraid. Why not?" She turned to face him, this alien king who had dropped to his knees for her, who had defied his entire civilization to claim her, who had helped her become something she had never imagined. Because for the first time in 300 years, humans do not have to survive alone. We have allies. We have power. We have a future. She reached up to touch his face. "And we have you." Nathan leaned down and kissed her. Soft and gentle, a promise of forever. Across the galaxy. In 1,000 systems and 1,000,000 ships. Humans felt the first stirrings of something new in their blood. They did not understand it yet. They did not know what it meant. But they felt it calling to them, telling them that everything they thought they knew was wrong. They were not primitive. They were not weak. They were not alone. They were the key to something magnificent, and their story was just beginning. The Alpha King had found his queen, and humanity had found its destiny.